Hello future me. You're probably looking back on those clips wondering what the heck you were doing, and quite frankly, so was I. You try to become a sniper main by going through a gauntlet of 100 hours, 2 hours per day, to become a better sniper than in those clips. What made you want to do that? Meeting the godly enemy sniper was one, wanting to become better at aiming in general was another, and the prestige that comes with being able to click heads from any distance was a freaking amazing bonus. That guy whose head is as big as the dot? Headshot. The scout right in your face? Headshot. But why Team Fortress? In the January of 2020, you came to the conclusion that Team Fortress 2 was one of the best games to practice on. Big punishments for missing a headshot, and not as big as punishments for dying. Now you're probably watching this to remember how those 100 hours flew by, and about what you learned. So let me go ahead and tell you right now that the clip you just saw was a common mistake you made for around the first 10-ish hours or so, not making sure there was no enemy sniper before you started aiming down. Now you're about to see something you can use in general for your sniper positioning. You never want to stick around in the same spot you snipe from for long, as you can quickly get trounced on for not shaking up your perch zone, as you saw in that clip for both me and the enemy sniper. For this upcoming blunder to happen, you developed two bad habits. First, trying to emulate the twitch shots you always saw in videos without having built any muscle memory, so it's more of a slow drag. And second, having very little patience, and as a result, you shoot just after and just before the crosshair hit the statue like pyro. Realizing that you had no muscle memory, you decided to build some using a live test dummy. Your little brother, of course. You reintroduced him to the game and convinced him to battle you mano a mano, and your muscle memory grew bit by bit. If you listen close, you can hear him yell. Funnily enough, this set my brother off on his own path in Team Fortress. He went off on a big mission to become a big-time trader. I'm talking unusuals up the wazoo. And since I never really was one for cosmetics, his inventory now dwarfs my 7-year-old account. That Hallis Demoman is something archaeologists will find and say is a relic to his past, because it is. About a day after I trounced my brother, I got a bit cocky and convinced my friend to try out Team Fortress. And after a warm-up game or two, I convinced him to 1v1 me. He was someone who hung out a lot on a computer and had a lot more experience than my brother on PC FPSs. When we were in high school, he rocked and stomped everyone in this one portable Counter-Strike game. Loads of fun, very dumb. During this giggly sniping battle, he and I made a few notable mistakes that I want to point out to you. For this first mistake, I made the mistake of going in a straight path while a sniper had already taken aim. If you don't remember, there are a few types of aiming, and one of them is predicting and leading the target with your crosshair, which my friend does to me, and takes me on about a second because of my predictability. So mix it up by jump crouching and randomly switching directions, and keep in mind to not fall into a pattern like left, left, right, 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 left. They'll catch on. This second mistake was by my friend, and it was the getting sec'd out while the other guy plays chicken with your mind. The third mistake he made was staying in the same location for too long. I was able to gather location data, and so when I jumped out, I was able to just shoot him in the general area and kind of get a drop on him. The chance for him shooting me was a lot lower because I was already trying to mind game him, and he was going to be twitchy because of it. Because nothing of note was really happening for hours 11 through 49, we speed ahead to around the 50-ish hour mark, and we can already see some improvement. As you saw, I was able to shoot a small pyro about as soon as they entered my vision, and around this time I was learning the value of strategic body shooting and the art of improvising and adapting. I was able to position myself in a corner with a view of the enemy's legs, and a fully charged sniper shot takes out the medic, and I deny the enemy their mobile heals and their Uber, meaning my job as a sniper is fulfilled. And I make a position mistake here where I forget I'm in the path of the enemy team, and I jump down and I get shot to death immediately by 3 power classes. Here you were making your way up in the world, getting your muscle memory down and flicking on this engineer, and life was pretty good. Your shotgunning with the sniper was also improving dramatically, but your aim wasn't some aimbot level stuff yet. Then tragedy struck. You booted up your PC one day to find that your mouse sensitivity was crazy low, and you had to move your entire arm to do something that your wrist used to do. You launched the game and started a bot match, thinking to yourself that you might just be going crazy since you haven't played for a few days. What you didn't know at the time was that you or your brother had pressed these DPI buttons on your cyberpower mouse, and as a result, your muscle memory for a higher sensitivity was just straight up shot. You would learn to compensate for low sensitivity shooting, having practiced with it before, but when attempting to practice your twitch shots, you were certain that something had changed. Having no luck at turning up the mouse sensitivity higher than max on the PC settings, you give up and you cranked up your sensitivity to 4 point something, something that would have made any tiny movement do like multiple 360s before. As you might see in the footage, that I come close to shooting a lot of these people over and over, and over the course of the rest of the journey, I started zeroing in on that, closing the distance. It was a pretty great setback, but over time, I was able to overcome it and began to get the groove back, as well as figuring out what the issue was. So sometime in the hours of 60s, I came across this Mr. Swipes guy, a faker, I should say. So I learned after I showed my brother these clips that he's some spy frag video guy maker. I never actually seen any videos, but looking from what I know and his reputation, from what the people told me in this server, was that he's like a really good guy, or like really good guy, good at the game as a spy, as an ambassador spy. As you can see here, the spy gets back, so I'm like, okay, I gotta really panic here. And then he turns right in front of me and backstabs me. So I could tell, like, okay, maybe he's just laggy. So I checked the scoreboard and like, yep, he's laggy. But I also see I'm laggy, so I'm assuming, oh, that's just it. You know, it looks like I'm getting killed unfairly, but it's just lag. So on his screen, I was doing this. Turns out that is what was happening. It was just that I think he was artificially making the lag worse. Here I just assumed I walked in a straight line and I got killed and punished for it. I was like, okay, that's fine. I body shot him. I think he was using a kunai, so he had a lot more health. I shoot him again. I get shot by the soldier, and then he says like profanities in chat, like, okay. But he was doing that throughout the entire game, and people were like defending him in the server, saying like, oh, don't you know who this guy is? He's Mr. Swipes. He's really good. If you notice bottom left here, this guy says, "This looks so scuffed," because you might not notice, but it was scuffed. Anyway, so I usually deal with these types of things in the same way, where I just find a new server. So I don't actually have enough footage of this happening. I just, you know, move on. And later I found out, I was like, oh, that was something neat. So it finally happened, where in around the hour 70 mark, where I get kicked off for being a sniper. I was still like recovering from the whole DPI thing, and I was trying to practice being very fine with higher sensitivity. Around this hour mark, I learned that, like, you know, I'm not going to become a super godly sniper just with 100 hours. It's going to take a little more time than that. And I just kind of resigned myself that I wasn't going to be a mega god sniper or anything. And the guy who kind of led the charge, his name was Mook. There's probably 1,000 of those, so I don't really think it matters to say it here. I guess he really was taking the game pretty serious, because he was a little up in arms about the snipers on the team, and he was like, "We gotta kick all the snipers off the team. They're so useless, you know. Might as well be idle." And so he started a little crusade, and people in the chat were like, "Good to have you back, Mook." So I was like, okay, so this guy must be some famous dude, and he's just some regular dude. And I looked him up online, but it was like no one special. So, and then, you know, snipers kept getting kicked, and you know, my head was on the chopping block next right here. You'll see it pop up, cheesy boy. And then, you know, I was quickly hit. Something I didn't mention before was the amount of bots currently that reside in Team Fortress, and one of them I often encountered was this religious pastor bot. He roamed the servers preaching the good book, and everyone kicked him on sight because it got really annoying. Coming up on hour 80, we can see that my consistency with the newish DPI was getting much better overall, and I was able to land quick shots in general. I want you to pay attention to one of my problem areas right here, a target facing away with a small window to actually shoot their head and not the back. Knowing this, I took some time to practice it, but it being a difficult thing to hit, I only marginally improved on that. While overall I'm more consistent, I still fail to make shots that should be relatively easy, as well as having a weird habit of being able to hit something the first time, but the second time around it's in the same area, it just screws me up. So starting off, you'll see that I use the body shooting, the medic thing I learned from hour 50 to quickly take him out, and so he's not even able to build Uber from like spawn. I move my position just so I can get headshots and stuff. I missed the heavy, tragic. And you see, I get in battle with this enemy sniper, and he actually gets a shot on me, and it's like, oh geez. And so luckily my teammate takes him out, and I'm just trying to move ahead so I can like get more into their spawn and get them before they even walk out the door. I get taken out by a demoman. Quickly, I come back after I die for 20 seconds. I just am support by just, you know, dealing extra damage. You'll notice that this is actually an improvement on the medic from like hour 70, where I couldn't shoot them when they were running away and harder to hit. I don't actually manage to shoot the first shot, but the second shot I managed to get a body shot, and third I actually managed to get a headshot on him. So I am improving. I actually am getting better at aiming at small targets at a higher sensitivity. I'm just not like a god that I assumed I would be at this point. You ended off your journey on hour 101. Why? The entire enemy team became a heavy. You had not stopped since hour 90 because you wanted to get it over with, as it was getting kind of boring, you know, playing the same class for 2 hours every day, and sometimes more. A few things you did learn from this journey, and they're pretty important. So 1, practice does make perfect. 2, laggy connections are not conductive at all to sniping. 3, sniping purely in-game is a great way to improve, but not the only way, or not even the most effective way. I would actually recommend aim trainers as the way to become better. 5, Team Fortress has a lot of bots in the game, surprisingly, for free-to-play, you know. And 6, the culture in, I guess, PC gaming in the South varies very widely. So you can go from people who are just having a nice time, chilling, and then you have the entire range, and sometimes you have like straight up racists. And maybe just because I live in the South, but people would often defend the racist for, like, it'd be like this guy screaming the N-word over chat or the mic and in chat, and I'd be like, hey dude, that's racist, and then everybody would dogpile on me, and it's like kick him, he's being racist and mic spamming. But it's the South will be the South. Would I recommend anybody else take these kind of journeys? Yes, I would actually recommend that. Crazy, you know, just spend 100 hours, you'll get a lot better at than having what you started, and you'll not regret it.